By documenting today, you're saving yourself time later. The goal is to avoid reinventing the wheel, particularly for those quarterly or annual tasks that aren't ingrained in our memory. It might be a task you do once a year, but you're never going to remember how you did it if you just don't document it. SOPs are more than just guidelines. They're our playbook for consistency, efficiency, and excellence. I'm Amy Porterfield, ex-corporate girl turned CEO of a multi-seven-figure business. But it wasn't all that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the budget, and the time to focus on growing my small but mighty business. Fast forward past many failed attempts and lessons learned, and you'll see the business I have today. One that changes lives and gives me more freedom than I ever thought possible. One that used to only exist as a daydream. I created the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're an ambitious entrepreneur or one in the making who's looking to create a business that makes an impact and a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started. Hey there, friend. I am so thrilled to talk with you today, and we've got a great topic. Today, we're going to take a little trip deep into the heart of my operations department. This department is just a two-person dream team, my director of operations and my operations project manager. So these two have streamlined my business processes in seriously remarkable ways over the years, and I can't wait to share some of those behind the scenes strategies with you today. Now, I know that many people listening today, maybe you, do not have an operations department. And quite honestly, my director of operations knows this about me. I hate anything that feels corporate, and operations feels so corporate. But you're going to start to hear me talk about what they do and some of the strategies they use. And because I have a team of over 23 full-time employees now, and because my business has gotten a lot larger, there's a need for this. But your team might be a whole heck of a lot smaller, and these strategies will still apply to you. These are some strategies that I wish I did way sooner before I even had an operations department, because they really, truly streamline everything. When I think of my operations department, I think of how they streamline my company and support my students in a streamlined way as well. So to get a little bit more specific, my operations department is responsible for a lot of the important areas of my business. They handle things like legal and HR, and they help develop the structure for my budgets and also for my launches. So they're really behind the scenes in the structuring of a lot of that. More than that, they're the architects of my company culture. While each member of my team embodies this culture, it's the ops team that truly leads the way, bringing my vision and my mission and my core values to life. And so when I share some of these strategies, again, you might think, well, your team is bigger, Amy, you have a bigger business. But remember, I only have two people in this department. And so they do a lot for sure. But these are some strategies you can absolutely apply to the business that you are growing today. So in today's episode, I'm not just going to talk about what my ops team does, but more importantly, how and why they do it. That means you'll hear some of my team's core values throughout this conversation, giving you a behind the scenes look at how they influence and shape a lot of our strategies and efforts. You'll see how these values are not just theoretical concepts, but practical tools that drive our decisions and our direction in the company. And hopefully, you'll see how you too can weave what's most important to you throughout the systems that you run in your business, even in something as unsexy as a Google Sheet. So I'm going to give you the 5 strategies I'm going to break down and outline for you in today's episode. All right, here we go. Strategy number 1, the art of standard operating procedures, or SOPs. We're going to explore how documenting procedures for reoccurring tasks can save you a ton of time and prevent you from reinventing the wheel or repeating yourself 1 million times. Strategy number 2, which builds on strategy number 1, it's what I'm calling systems with a twist. I'm going to show you how the recent addition of tools like ChatGPT have taken our SOP process to the next level. This might be the strategy I'm most excited to share with you today. You're going to love it, I promise. Up next, strategy number 3, I'm going to give you the inside scoop on how my ops team runs my virtual events. From webinars to challenges to boot camps, they are behind that. And so I'm going to tell you how they do it. Strategy number 4, it's all about tool management and audits. Can sound a little dry, but trust me, it's so necessary when running a lean and profitable online business to make sure you're managing all the tools you're using and auditing, because I'll get into this, but when you audit, you'll realize I'm spending money on tools I never use, and this is such a waste. That's like, they save me money. My ops team saves me money monthly. And then wrapping up the episode, strategy number 5, mastering the interview process. This is all about getting the right people in the right seats. So even if you're a team of 1 right now, stick with me until the end, because this strategy that I'm going to share with you about hiring, but really all my strategies are going to be helpful, but this one strategy about hiring, we're going to talk about hiring your first hire, even if it's like a part-time virtual assistant, you're going to still find value. Okay, so are you ready to break down all 5 key strategies in my ops team and streamline the business that you're building? I know, not the most sexiest of topics, but they're essential. They make you work smarter and faster and more efficient. They save you money. And there's one thing that my students compliment my team on every single week. I hear it from somebody in customer support. One of our biggest compliments is, oh my gosh, you guys run this business like a well-oiled machine, some kind of variation of that. I hear well-oiled machine or so streamlined all the time. And it's because of our ops department and what they've implemented. So I want to share all those strategies with you, because being an entrepreneur, running a business is freaking stressful. So why not streamline some things to take away some of that stress so you can spend time doing what you do best? All right, let's jump into it. Jumping right into strategy number 1, the art of standard operating procedures, or SOPs. I like to think of SOPs as the recipe book for your business. Just like a chef needs recipes to ensure that their dishes are constantly and repeatedly delicious, your business needs SOPs for the same reason, to run smoothly day in and day out. Now, I know we've discussed SOPs previously on the podcast, but when chatting with my ops team for this episode, I was reminded about how vital these are to my business. So even if you're familiar with the concept, take a moment to ask yourself, am I actively implementing SOPs into my business? That's the real question to ask. Am I actively implementing this into my business? So with that in mind, I want to guide you through the step-by-step process that my ops team has perfected for SOP creation. First, always include the letters SOP followed by the title of the process you're describing in the name of the SOP document. So you're creating a Google Doc, right? So the title of that Google Doc starts with SOP and then the title of the process. So SOP, how to add an image to an email. I mean, I'm just using an example, but you get the point. I know this is a simple tip, but it's so necessary to make it easily searchable in your Google Drive or whatever document management system you use, but I think 99% of us are using Google Drive. So just below the title, note the time required to complete the SOP. So this is crucial. Is it a 5-minute task or a 30-minute one? Knowing this helps you and your team manage your time more efficiently. So if somebody new comes onto my team and they want to know how to create an opt-in page for a lead magnet, well, it might be SOP, how to create an opt-in page for a lead magnet, and then it takes maybe 30 minutes to create the opt-in page. So it will say, time this task will take 30 minutes, something like that. Next, you're going to include a sentence explaining the task's importance and how it fits into your business. So understanding the why behind their responsibilities allows, let's say, your VA or a new team member to fully engage with their work. So why is this important? 1 or 2 sentences. I really should back up. Why do we even want to do SOPs, standard operating procedures? What's the point? The point is that as you grow your business, as you add more people to your team, as you bring on contractors or part-time employees or full-time employees, they're going to need to do certain things that you're no longer wanting to do, or that maybe one person on your team, it became too much and now you have to hire someone to support them. So that person no longer has to do it. But instead of the new person coming on the team asking everyone, how do you do this? Well, how do you do that? Or doing it on their own and then totally doing it in a way you do not want, you create an SOP. This is exactly how we do it for the most simplest things and the more challenging things. It's like everything we do in our business, and it's a task. This is also important. An SOP is a task that you will do over and over again. So I'm thinking just of the simplest ones. This is how you create a signature in all of your work emails. Your name, your title, these are the links you need to add. This is how you do it, because a new employee is going to need to do that. And you want everyone to look uniform, possibly in their signature of your work emails. So it's things that new employees need to do, or a task that happens over and over in your business. This is how you create podcast show notes. This is what's included. This is the format. This is how you add images. That's an SOP. So if I bring on a new podcast producer, which I recently did, I did not have to sit down with her and explain to her how to create show notes. She went to the SOP. That's why it's so incredibly important. I should have set that up in the beginning and given you the why. So now when I'm explaining this, you're like, oh yeah, I'd be willing to do this. I see the importance of it. Okay. So getting back to our SOP, we've got the word SOP, then we've got the title, the time it takes, and then under that, a brief little sentence or two about why this is important to the company. Now, when you add that little why, this deeper connection not only infuses their daily tasks with greater meaning, but also tends to yield far better results for your business. Essentially, when people grasp the impact of their efforts, they're more motivated and invested, right? So this is true even if you're a one-person team. When our plates are full, we need a little reminder that what we're doing matters. And here's where we get to the real magic. Next, you'll list out your bulleted steps and every single detail you do to complete the task. It can also be helpful to incorporate images and screenshots or Loom videos where visual clarification is needed. This is particularly useful if you find yourself trying to describe more complex tasks, or you're like, I just need to show them. Now, if you're new to the online business world, start establishing an SOP library now, aiming to create 1 to 2 new SOPs each week. This is how you effectively scale and grow. A good rule of thumb I used when starting my business was anytime I did something more than once, I made an SOP for it. Now, this gradual approach helps cut down on SOP overwhelm. What I'm not asking you to do is sit down tomorrow and create 100 SOPs of all the things you do on an ongoing basis. No one's going to do that, right? So maybe 1 or 2 a week, like sit down and write a list of these are all the SOPs I want to get created, and then do 1 or 2 a week. And by the end of the year, you'll have your library. Now, really what's important is the person doing the task should be creating the SOP, knowing that one day, God forbid, they might get sick and they're out for a few weeks, or they might have an emergency, or they might quit, or you might fire them. And then if you don't have this SOP, you're screwed. So the person that's currently doing the task, they are responsible for creating SOPs on anything they do in their role repeatedly. And that way they don't feel like if they go on vacation and someone takes over for a week or 2 for them, they don't have to sit down and explain everything before they go. So it's very advantageous to the person in the current role, but also to you as the owner of the company. So while everyone on my team creates SOPs, my ops team really champions this process. Someone's kind of got to own it. Even if you have a virtual assistant, one of their tasks could be owning the management of SOPs, making sure that everybody's doing their SOPs, making sure there is a library, let's say just in a Google Doc with links to all the SOPs you've created. So someone should own it. So Jess is my director of operations. She summed up the importance of SOPs by saying this: By documenting today, you're saving yourself time later. The goal is to avoid reinventing the wheel, particularly for those quarterly or annual tasks that aren't ingrained in our memory. It might be a task you do once a year, but you're never going to remember how you did it if you just don't document it. SOPs are more than just guidelines. They're our playbook for consistency, efficiency, and excellence. When people say you run your business like a well-oiled machine, they're really making a nod to the fact that we have everything documented. They don't know that, but that's really why we're able to do what we do. And Jess is absolutely right. An SOP effectively eliminates the need to relearn systems that you may not have visited for an entire year. So this ties beautifully into the core value that I have on my team of total ownership. So that's one of our core values of our business, total ownership for our team members. So I want each team member to feel empowered to fully own their projects, minimizing the need to interrupt other people in their workday by asking for, how do you do this? Or asking for guidance on something that could easily be an SOP document. So this approach not only streamlines our workflow, but also cultivates a sense of independence and confidence among the team. When you have someone new starting and they have to ask you how you do everything, not only is that bothersome to you, it makes them feel incompetent. But if you're like, here's a library, these are all the things you need to do. Of course, there's some things you're going to need to sit and meet with them and explain and really hash out. But the things that literally can be documented should be. It gives that person independence and confidence from the get-go. I'm a really big stickler for onboarding. When somebody is new on my team, how they come on the team really sets the stage for how they feel about working on my team, how they feel about my business. When someone gets hired, the first thing we do is we send flowers before they even start on day one, or sometimes they get it on day one. But we do this to make them feel really welcome to the team. We always have a meeting set up. The minute they start, they're going to meet with usually their manager, in order to get the attention they need from the get-go, especially because we're all virtual. A virtual team when you're starting on day one is daunting. So the onboarding is important to us. And so with that, SOPs are part of the conversation, which gives them a lot of support. So hopefully you can see how SOPs are not just about documentation, they're about driving my team forward. And my ops team has done an amazing job at making sure SOPs are the backbone of my business. Someone's got to manage it or they'll never, ever get done. So find someone on your team to manage this, have them listen to that part of the podcast and let them run with it. So get ready as we shift into the strategy I'm most excited to share with you today, which is the systems with a twist. My ops team has been integrating tools like ChatGPT and Loom to enhance our documentation, essentially giving our systems and our processes a little twist of AI. So these tools are revolutionizing our SOPs, making the creation process faster and more accurate. So here's how they do it. They start by using Loom, which is a screen recording tool we love in my business. They press record on Loom to document the step-by-step execution of any task that they're making an SOP for. When they hit record, they talk through what they're showing on their screen. It's essentially capturing the process in real time. Once they have that recording, they download the voice transcript and take it over to ChatGPT. From there, they upload the transcript and ask ChatGPT to transform it into a written and polished SOP. It's like having an expert SOP writer as a team member, ensuring that every detail is captured and the document is easily understandable. Now, beyond that, what I'm blown away by is how my ops team uses AI for process refinement. So once the SOP is created, they can upload it as a PDF or simply copy and paste the steps back into ChatGPT. They include a prompt that asks ChatGPT to analyze and suggest improvements to the process. Wild, right? They can literally come up with a prompt asking ChatGPT to identify gaps and opportunities to enhance our process in the SOP. Then they get ideas fed back to them in seconds as if they have a process consultant working with them on a call. So for those of you running your business solo, this is a total game changer. AI is such an effective tool when used as a brainstorming partner or an extra set of eyes. I think it really helps you fine tune your operations to make those SOPs as efficient as possible. So incorporating AI into our SOP process reflects our dedication to strategic, thoughtful actions and the conviction that there's always a solution to every challenge. In other words, there's always a way to make it happen. So this ensures that we don't just stick to conventional methods and get stuck in our ways. Instead, we're always on the lookout for creative, innovative approaches. It's a mindset of staying scrappy while creatively problem solving. So my ops team demonstrates this beautifully by using AI as a tool for improvements to our SOPs. Okay, so now let's shift gears to strategy number 3 and enter the world of virtual events. So we're taking a sharp turn here. This is totally different. For those of you who have attended any of my virtual events, like the Entrepreneur Experience or Course Confident Bootcamp or Subscribe to Bootcamp, or the event I hosted when I released my book 2 weeks notice, then you've witnessed firsthand the magic that my ops team creates. I'm talking virtual events here. They're the team ensuring every aspect of the virtual event runs like clockwork. From coordinating speakers to tech needs to managing the timely delivery of assets, they're leading the charge. And all of this happens seamlessly, largely driven by a well-managed PAG document. PAG stands for Program at a Glance. And while this strategy may seem like a sharp left turn from SOPs, it's actually quite aligned. Think of a PAG as an SOP tailored for a specific event. Just like SOPs systemize routine tasks, a PAG brings the same level of organization and clarity to events. It's essentially a detailed spreadsheet encompassing everything an event needs. I got to give a shout out to Sage, who is the company we use for our in-person events and also some of the big fancy virtual events I've done. Like if you've seen me where there's tons of screens behind me and in front of me, I'm at a studio likely in Charleston with the Sage company. And so they first introduced us to PAGs way back in the day when I used to do in-person events. I might bring them back, in-person events, but just not yet. But they introduced us to PAGs, and then we've used this for our virtual events in every event we've done. Okay, so this PAG document has changed the game when it comes to my online events, and I absolutely know it's going to do so for you as well. So I have a lot of students in my membership Momentum who I see create incredible virtual events as a team of one. So for example, I have a student, Janelle, who ran a virtual event called the Wealthy Wild Summit to help coaches increase their income to 6 figures. She brought together peers in her industry to speak on different topics, and 24 hours after promoting the event, she had 300 signups. Talk about an incredible list builder for her business too, right? All 300 people are now on her email list, and the event was free. So that's why it was easier for her to get people to sign up. So I love virtual free events. Now, even if you don't have an entire ops team to help, take it from my student here. You can absolutely host an online experience that offers value and helps you present yourself as the expert in your industry. So to create your first virtual event in PAG, here's a streamlined approach based on my ops team strategy. Begin with a basic spreadsheet. Add rows detailing the structure of your event and each segment in it. So you're going to incorporate in these rows every element. So it might be a speaker presentation, it might be your welcome segment, or it could be the breaks that you're going to have, or if you're going to do interactive activities where you want them to get into groups or you want them to journal or something like that, that's going to be a row. And it's basically everything that's going to happen, it's going to get its individual row. And then include columns for each of those segments, their start time, the duration, and the speaker who is delivering that content. So you can think of those segments in those rows as here's a piece of content, here's the next content, here's the next content. And then from there, again, start time, duration, and the person, the speaker who's delivering the content. Now, additionally, include columns for resource links and materials that you're distributing during each segment. Like if there's a video that's going to play, or a slide deck that's needed, you need to link to that in that one content segment. So everything's in one place on this spreadsheet. Because if things are going crazy and you're like, where's that? Where's that video? It's right where it needs to be at the time that you know it's going to be playing. So adding links is so important. And then lastly, add a column for any necessary notes and reminders. So if the reminder is, remind Amy that she needs to announce the winner of this prize during this break, that would be in the notes. So this concise yet comprehensive roadmap, it ensures your virtual event unfolds seamlessly and stays aligned with your planned agenda. So a PAG, yeah, it's like an agenda. It's in a spreadsheet, columns and rows, and it's every single segment broken up with all the details I just mentioned. And then everybody on your team should have access to this. Not your speakers if they're like guest speakers. I think that might be a little too much for them. But anyone who's running or working with this virtual event, they should know at all times, like in a 5 or 10 minute increments, or if like a talk is 30 minutes, then that's one segment. But if the next break is 10 minutes, that's just a 10-minute segment. They should know the time of the whole, we call it like run of day kind of thing. Like they should know exactly what's going on throughout the entire day. And with a PAG like this, you'll be able to deliver a polished, professional virtual event that resonates with your audience and leaves them wanting more. The better you plan, the better the event will be. So by planning and executing the PAG, you're not just organizing an event, you're upholding a promise to your audience. Every detail accounted for in the PAG is a testament to your commitment to delivering experiences that are seamless and they respect people's time and attention. You're very intentional when you have a PAG. And if you're considering hosting a virtual event soon in your business, check out episode 467. It's called How to Host a Live Virtual Event That Will Wow Your Audience. I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes, but you can get to it at amyporterfield.com/467. Now, this leads us to strategy number 4, the quarterly tool audit. Are you ready for me to save you some money? Well, then pay attention. If you're multitasking, come back to me. In the online business world, it's surprisingly easy to accumulate subscriptions and tools, right? So every quarter, my ops team evaluates what we're using and considers the return on investment for each of those tools. So the goal is to pinpoint which key tools bring the most value to ensure we're not overloaded by software and subscriptions that we're not even using. Often my team finds just a handful of tools are doing the heavy lifting and we can consolidate our efforts. Also, what we have found is like 3 people on my team have separate subscriptions to a tool. Everyone's paying with our company credit card for the same tool, but 3 different accounts. And then when we read the guidelines, we could actually just have one business account. So those kind of things usually come up in this audit as well. Now, if you're just starting out in business, there is no better time to get a handle on your tools than right now. My team recommends setting up a simple spreadsheet just to track this, like just from the get-go. List each tool as a row in the spreadsheet. And if you're ever wondering, like, what kind of task can I give a VA? This is a great task to give a VA. So again, you're going to list each tool as a row in the spreadsheet. Then in the columns, you'll list its cost, its function, and any other relevant details, like whether it's a one-time fee or a recurring subscription. And I would link to the tool in case anyone needs any more information about what the tool does, just link to their website. So this practice will help you stay organized and make informed decisions about where your money and attention are best allocated. It's a straightforward yet powerful way to keep your business lean and effective. All right, we made it to the home stretch. As we wrap up today's episode, let's dive into our 5th and final strategy, mastering the interview process. So even if you're not quite ready to expand your team yet, stick with me here because understanding this process is invaluable when the time comes to hire your first person, or if you are already hiring, but this is something that feels painful and the process is really messy, this is for you as well. My ops team has established a comprehensive 3-stage process for interviewing. While I don't expect you to hold 3 interviews when hiring your first VA, reflecting on the intent behind each phase that I'm about to cover can greatly enhance your ability to find a candidate who's competent and perfectly aligned with your values. So first up, we have a culture interview. So in this stage, we focus on assessing how well a candidate's values and personality align with our company culture. So usually that's going to be Jess, who's the head of our ops department. She usually does probably like a 30-minute culture interview where she just gets to know the candidate. What are they looking for? What does their past experience look like? And really kind of just learns more about them so that we can make sure that they're a cultural fit. And also, that's not just for us. Like if we meet someone and we're like, you would hate it here. We're super type A. We like systems. We like processes. We like spreadsheets. And if this person is like, I hate processes and systems, they'd be a terrible fit and they'd hate us. So it's as much for them as it is for us. Okay. Next, if someone is a good culture fit, my ops team schedules a manager interview. So here the candidates have the opportunity to meet with their potential direct manager. This stage is crucial, of course, for discussing the specifics of the role and determining how their skill and experience match up with the job requirements. And then from there, if they're a really good match, my ops team schedules a leadership interview. Many people just starting out in business won't have a leadership team. I didn't until a few years ago. So you won't do this step if you don't have a leadership team. But since we do have a leadership team, if we love a candidate, they will meet with the leadership team in one meeting. And sometimes if there's a role that my community director doesn't need to be on that call, we might not have her because we don't want like 6 people staring at this new candidate on a Zoom call. It's very daunting. Believe me, we've done it enough times to know. So we might take just a few people from the leadership team, but I think it's important to have that last interview if you do have the team. So this step allows for like a deeper exploration of their alignment with a broader vision and the company goals. It's just an important step for us. Now, when meeting with multiple candidates, my ops team prepares documents to ensure we always ask people the same questions. So this structured approach allows us to keep track of people's responses and helps us to make fair and informed decisions when it's time to extend an offer. So this method beautifully aligns with my company's core value of proactive inclusivity. That's another core value on my team, proactive inclusivity. So this might be the most important core value I have because it fosters diversity and inclusion on my team, welcoming people of all races and ages and genders and sexual orientations and abilities. Now, this extends to their ideas and their beliefs and experiences as well. So if we standardize our interview process, we're actively ensuring that every candidate is given an equal opportunity to express themselves and be evaluated on a level playing field. Now, obviously, if we are interviewing somebody with a specific disability that we need to change the process because of that, we absolutely will. But we want to keep things as consistent as possible to give everybody an equal opportunity. And there you have it. 5 strategies my ops team uses to keep my business running smoothly and my culture thriving. So let's take a minute to recap how you can take action today, even if you don't have an ops team, which 90% of people listening probably don't, but you have these functions or need these functions inside your business. So first, start creating SOPs for any reoccurring task in your business. Document 1 or 2 processes each week and watch the playbook for your business grow. Next, always look for ways to utilize tools like ChatGPT to enhance and refine processes and systems. And if you're looking to run virtual events in the future, remember to create a PAG document. This will outline the structure, the key elements, and specific details to ensure a smooth execution for both you and your audience. And everyone's favorite, don't forget to conduct a quarterly tool audit. Create a simple spreadsheet listing each tool, its cost, function, and details. Which brings us to the last strategy, mastering the interview process. When you're ready to hire, implement a structured interview process to ensure skill and culture fit alike. Remember, aligning your operations with your values, I think that's the biggest takeaway, is key to building a business that truly lights you up. So keep pushing forward, one action at a time, and never forget, you're absolutely made for this. What you're doing, building a business, entrepreneurship, This is yours. You've got this. You are made for this. So stay in the game. Know that it's normal for it to feel overwhelming, stressful. Oh my gosh, now I've got to figure out systems and processes and webinars and list building. I get it. But I do believe at the end of the day, the rewards far exceed the challenges and pain it takes to make this all work. But there are challenges and it does get tough. And when you have more streamlined processes in your business, that's one less thing you have to worry about. And that's why I think this episode was important. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Online Marketing Made Easy. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye for now.